Right, so in the series of Witcher book rambling sessions that I've dubbed these, because they're not reviews. I'm not reviewing these books. I'm not giving them like a mark out of 10 or a grade at the end of the videos. I'm just going through my thoughts and what I like, what I don't like, which is kind of what a review is, but I'm not giving it an official title because I'm not in the book tuber kind of land space. I mean, I talk about comics a lot, but books, very new to. Very, very new to. And I've jumped into the deep end. As you can probably see behind me, there's some Brandon Sanderson as well. I haven't started those. Please do not put any Stormlight Archive spoilers in the comments, and please do not put any Witcher spoilers in the comments as well. That's both this and the show. I know the show, season 3 came out a couple years ago, and season 4 looks like it either will never happen or is a very long way away. But please don't spoil either, because don't spoil the games either. I haven't gotten that far into The Witcher 3, and I want to kind of give the game series another chance with the upcoming remake or remaster or whatever it is of the first game, which is coming soon. I'm not sure how soon, but soon. There is a lot of stuff that I need to catch up on before that, video game wise, which I will eventually. Vampire Survivors just came to PS5 and I've been addicted to that. It's only been on there a week. I'm already 12 hours. I've already been playing it and put 12 hours into it. I'm that addicted to it. But you didn't come here to hear me talk about that. You came here to hear me talk about The Witcher Book 3, Blood of Elves, the first book in the Witcher saga, but the third book in the Witcher series. It's all very confusing. Apparently there's the Witcher saga, which is Blood of Elves through to Lady of the Lake. There's the two short story collections, which take place before Blood of Elves and are a direct prologue into Blood of Elves. And then there's Season of Storms, which is a sequel book, and then there's a book coming out next year. So it never fucking ends. It's never gonna end. I'm in it now, and I've got to be in it for the frickin' long haul now. This book is probably the weakest of the first 3. Of the 3 that I've read, this one is the one that I have had the toughest time getting into. It feels like nothing really happens in it. A lot of stuff happens in the book. A lot of things happen in the book. It's a fairly thick book. Not nearly as thick as the Brandon Sanderson stuff behind there, which I'm terrified of. It's going to take me up until 2027 to finish the first book. And there's a 5th one of those coming out soon. So, fucking... I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish The Witcher, or at least finish the Witcher books that I own, take a break, read one of those, and that will probably take me a good couple of months to get through one of those. So yeah, I have plenty of stuff to do, and then I've got fucking comics over there to read as well. But I'll get through that stack in 2 days, probably. This is... I wasn't bored reading it. Bored is the wrong word. I was just waiting for the penny to drop. I was waiting for the shoe to drop. Or the other shoe to drop. I was waiting for something to happen. I was waiting for like a big reveal or a big moment. And I feel like this book wasn't really... That's not really what this book was about. This is like laying the groundwork, introducing people to Ciri and what that character's about, and, you know, integrating her into the world of The Witcher. There's very little Geralt in this. Geralt actually has very little to do in the book. He's there. He brings Ciri to Kaer Morhen, gets her to train a bit, brings in Triss, who, as a reader, we thought had died during a big, like, siege, big, like, battle that we didn't actually see, which is one of the things that I prefer the show doing, actually showing us that fight on the hills of Sodden. The books don't show that, but it's implied, and we see the aftermath of it, and we see what that battle has... we see what it does and how it affects the story going forward. And we're very much told that stuff is important, but it's not important. It's important to know that it happened, but it's not important to know what happened. Whereas I think the show goes into a lot of detail to make you care about characters that you don't really... that is just insinuated or implied or directly told you, but you don't need to spend half a season, you know, you don't need to spend like half a book to tell like the backstory of Yennefer, because it's not as interesting as what is Geralt doing. Am I interested in what's actually happening in this book in particular? Not really. I don't really care for Ciri as a character. She's written to be very annoying, and purposefully the characters in the book are annoyed by her, and I don't care about seeing Ciri change. I don't care about her enough for her to take the spotlight away from Geralt, who I was really enjoying learning about and seeing his adventures. And we do get... I think the biggest problem this book has is it doesn't want to fully commit to any kind of tone or any kind of like... This is Sapkowski's kind of growing pains coming out of short stories and going into like a long form saga. The book doesn't really end in a satisfying way. It just kind of ends with to be continued, which I hate. Even though I know this is the first book in an ongoing saga, I don't like that there is no climax or conclusion. There's no thing that you're trying to get to. Yes, there is this character called Rayant, and there is technically a climactic battle with him, which goes by so quickly, and he's barely involved. And it's like 2 pages in the second to last chapter. The last chapter is Yennefer and Ciri basically just learning magic. It's just Ciri being taught magic by Yennefer, and it's not a slog to get through. It's interesting, and it's interesting to see how Ciri's powers work. and what her role actually is in the story. But I don't find her that compelling a character to want to follow what she's doing more than following Geralt. Dandelion is not in this book for very long at all. And when he is in the book, he's more palatable. He's getting more and more palatable as the series progresses. And as we're going into this saga, he's got very little to do. Like most characters that are not Ciri in this. Even new characters that are introduced, like Triss, she gets a chapter of being important and basically teaching the witches of Caermorhen how to treat a woman, essentially, how to treat a female, and that it's different than how you would treat or train a male witcher or just a bloke in general. And then for the next chapter, she gets food poisoning, is basically completely catatonic or unconscious, or just really ill for the next chapter and doesn't do anything and just serves as something to be looked after, essentially. And that kind of that's been my big problem with how this series has treated female characters in general throughout the series, is that they are you've either got Yennefer, who is the best example of a female character in the series. Yennefer has stuff to do. She's got agency. She's especially got an important role in this book, especially. But I feel like every other female character is either written to be annoying, written to be infatuated by Geralt, and there is literally a scene where Triss basically masturbates herself to sleep thinking of Geralt, and weirdly, that's how I pictured what was going on when I was reading the book, and then it essentially says that she's aroused in a different way, thinking about Ciri and why she's been bought, and that it's probably to do with whatever's possessing Ciri, and she's aroused by that as well. And I'm just thinking, what is wrong with this woman? Why are we taking 3 pages to explain essentially Triss's wet dream? Essentially is what we're getting. And thankfully, Triss is just a normal person in the show. I feel like the show did Triss pretty well. The show also goes way more into detail and spends a lot more time in Caermorhen than this book does. This book, they're in Caermorhen for a chapter, possibly 2 chapters, I think. In the show, it's for the bulk of the series. For the bulk of season 2, they're in Caermorhen. I liked those chapters fine, and I liked seeing Ciri train with the other witches. But I feel like the book takes very long, or takes a very long time in explaining things acutely, that it doesn't leave much for when there's an action sequence, or when stuff goes down. That is when the book's pacing kind of feels a little out of whack. We take so long to get to an action sequence that when an action sequence is there, you want it to go on for longer than it actually does. That's not me saying that the book is bad. I am in no way saying that the book is bad. There are very good things in this book, and the bulk of it, the majority, is good. I'm compelled with everything to do with Geralt. I'm still very much compelled in the story. I want to see what happens next, and the last few pages have me very excited for the next book, just with the next book being called Time of Contempt. I'm in the series and I care about these characters now. Maybe less so Ciri, but I still am interested in where that character has to go, if only because of the show and how she ends up in the games as well, and what I know from the games. I'm excited to see where the series goes, and I'm excited to see the storytelling of this actually progress, and to see Sapkowski actually get more confident with writing a long-running story instead of a short story, because this still feels like each chapter is kind of separated. It either there's a time jump of like a week between each chapter, or like one chapter is from one person's perspective and another chapter is in someone else's perspective. It does feel very much like the chapters in this are still very much being treated like short stories. And yes, there is a through line, and yes, there is a bigger story going on. Yes, they are connected by, all being about Ciri and Geralt, or Ciri and Yennefer, or Ciri and Triss. It still feels very much like this book is a montage of moments or things happening than a story through and through. It does just feel like set piece after set piece after set piece, and as much as when the set pieces happen, they are cool. I just wish that there was more fluidity between each chapter. I wish the book kind of flowed a bit better, and maybe we're going to get that more with later books in the series. I've heard that the next book 2, is where Sapkowski kind of comes into his own with his prose and the way that the story actually goes and the turns that takes. I've heard that the second book is one of the better ones in the series, and I'm excited. I'm excited for where the series is going to go, because this is still a good book. I think, in my opinion, it's still a good book. It's just the flaws are the flaws and the growing pains of coming out of short stories into a longer form saga it does start to show, and it kind of shows that Sapkowski isn't quite used to doing this, and he doesn't really know what he's doing. But for someone who doesn't really know what he's doing, he's done a pretty okay job. And there is stuff in this that is very interesting. I'm starting to care more about Yennefer. Triss, when she's in it, is fine. Geralt, the very few things that he gets to do are kind of cool. Like, he gets to fight some big monsters. That's admittedly very cool to read about. There are big set pieces, there are moments. It's just the actual conclusion. It feels like the bigger action set piece happened in the middle of the book, and the conclusion of the book feels very small in comparison. But the final chapter is interesting, to say the least, and it does set up a lot later on, and I find it interesting to do a climactic fight against the big bad of the book in the penultimate chapter, and And the chapters themselves, I haven't talked about this earlier because it only just crossed my mind. The chapters are long. It's not that long a book, about 300 pages. The chapters in this are quite long. Like 45 pages for the first chapter. I don't know if that's normal. Let me know in the comments below if that's normal for like an adult fantasy series or an adult like fantasy book. Because I know when I tried to read The Lord of the Rings way back when, the chapters, or the first chapter of that was 40 pages. So I don't know if that's just a sign of the time period that this was written in, that was that, you know, chapters were just longer, because when I read Percy Jackson, those chapters were pretty short. There's only 7 chapters in this book. I remember there being like 20 to like maybe 30 chapters in the first Percy Jackson book, if memory serves me correctly. Also, that's a young adult book. So maybe chapters are shorter in young adult books, because I've had a flick through some of the other books, some of the later ones, and the chapter length seems pretty similar between all of them. So maybe that is just an adult fiction thing, or as you get into like books meant for like adults, the chapter length is longer anyway. But it's just something for me, because like I'm someone that likes to read a chapter at a time. I felt with this I couldn't do that because the chapters are just too long and just too dense. Maybe that's just a me thing though, but I still thoroughly enjoyed my time with Blood of Elves, but I feel like as we go on, I feel like it's something that will read better. It's definitely something that serves as like an introduction, or as like world building, introducing you to the different kind of like factions and the more political side of The Witcher and this world. Even though it's not a huge series in terms of the cast of characters and everything, it's still very much like a small, like, you've got Yennefer, Ciri, Geralt, Dandelion, and Triss for a short while in this book. For like 2 chapters, Triss is like a main character. I don't know how big her role is going to be in the book going forward, because I know she's got a big role in the second game, but I'm not sure what her role in the series going forward is going to be, because she hasn't done much in the show. That much in the show is more based on the books than the game is. I don't know how much the game takes from the books. All I know is how much the show takes from the books and how much the show adds or takes away. They've took away quite a bit, but they've added quite a bit as well. I don't know. All I know is that I'm enjoying the series and I can't wait to get more into it. I do have some comic book videos that I've got up in the pipeline. I've got to catch up on all of those. I've got a big old stack over there, and there's a lot of stuff for me to catch up on, which I will do, and I'll have videos up on several comic booky things in the pipeline. Black Panther versus Predator, the Doctor Strange run just finished. There's also Ghost Rider Final Vengeance, that finished quite recently as well. Very much I don't know what I'm going to say about that book, but that video is probably going to be very fun to do, because that book has been something. That book has been something. I wish it went on for longer, because it was just it was so wacky while it lasted. I hope it sticks the landing, because it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I dislike it. I think I like it, but I don't know. But yeah, Witcher Blood of Elves. I think where I am in this series at the moment, I can probably say I like this series, and I'm on board with it. I recommend this series to a lot of people. If you enjoy the show, if you enjoy the games, and you haven't read the books yet, I do think they are worth picking up. All relatively short. There's a relatively easy to follow cast of characters as well. It's not a massive cast. It's not like Game of Thrones or anything, where the cast of characters is just huge. And yeah, we're getting to learn more about like the magic system and everything, and that's something that I've heard a lot of people talk about when it comes to like fantasy novels in general, is that like magic systems are always a big important thing to think about, or like if a magic system isn't built up properly, it detriments the book. Like if the magic system is shown to be important, but its importance in the story isn't translated through the amount of explaining that the book does about the system, then that's a big like cross on the book in general. But we are getting a lot more explanation about how magic works in the Witcher universe, and why witches are able to do certain skills or certain spells, but don't know any real true magic. So I'm excited to see if they delve any deeper into that in the books going forward. But yeah, I'm enjoying the ride. I'm liking where the book's going. It's just this book in particular, I did see the holes in it, more so than I did with the short stories, and hopefully more so than I do with the series going forward. I'm very much looking forward to seeing where the series goes. And I've said the same thing about 300 times in this video. I'm going to end off here. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you enjoy hearing me talk about books, it's gonna be an ongoing thing. I'm going to at least talk about the Witcher series. I'm gonna at least get this finished. I'm having trouble tracking down the fourth book, which is the fourth book in the Witcher Saga, which is the sixth book overall, which is called Tower of the Swallow. I'm having a bit of trouble finding that. Not in Waterstones. I've looked on Amazon for some reason. On Amazon, they're all. It's either you buy the set of 5, or you buy not the set of 5. It's either you buy the set of 8, all of the 8 that are currently available, or you buy them individually as audiobooks. And I don't want to do either of that, because I've already got 5 of the books, so I don't want to buy 5 of the books again, and I don't want to read half of the series in physical and read the other half of the series in audiobook form. I don't really want to do that either, even though it would probably be interesting to marry the two and to see what I prefer, because the audiobooks are technically free, so there's no harm in me seeing like if the books are like, if listening to the audiobook, if I get anything different out of that than just reading the book physically. It'll be interesting, something to think about. Anyways, see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. If you didn't like the video, I don't know why you're still here. You probably already left. But hit that dislike button anyway. It is nice to know who dislikes the video anyway, even though you don't see who, you just see the thumb down. It's very disheartening, but you don't care about that if you're hitting the dislike button, you just care about hurting my feelings. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Peace.